bodybuilder,
We're in for an amazing show.
up and coming new young bodybuilder,
Be as
Jordan
loud as you
Roman.
can. Show your support and enjoy.
Lay hold of it. You lay hold of it.
So you can make some progress forward.
Looks like that might be worth living. And when that thing tells you to quit, you look at it in his eye and say, I ain't going nowhere.
You find the meaning that sustains you in life, and you find the patterns of action that redeem the world, both at the same time.
Where we collectively discover light in life's darkest moments. Mainstay Podcast. Welcome to Mainstay Podcast, Jordan.
Thank you for having me, and look forward to chopping it up with you.
Oh, hell yeah. So I'll kind of introduce you. Are you a full-time college student? Are you full?
I am, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Full-time college student. You're a summer shredding competitor, NPC competitor, bodybuilder. You also work at One Life Gym. The athlete Jordan Roman in the building.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. And like you said, yeah, I transferred I'm in my transfer senior year. So only one more semester after this one.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So degree, are you going into fitness?
Yeah. So it's actually kinesiology. Yeah. So I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that stuff and biomechanics, muscle physiology, just all nutrition, how everything just kind of is it all ties together within the body. It's very complex. So yeah, I'm really intrigued in that. And overall, I love to nerd out about that and learn it, and then try and instill some of that in my clients and fellow members and friends, at One Life and elsewhere.
Yeah. So you have clients right now. So you're a fitness trainer at One Life?
Yes. Yeah. So I had some managerial tasks in the past, but honestly, I just found that my heart was, out on the floor. And if I can tell somebody, well, if your toe points this way, your hip is going to follow, and that's going to change your squat, and then have them have that aha revelation moment, that I feel like that's better suited for me than, maybe being at a sales table or, doing other tasks. So, I really love training. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you love training yourself, and you also love helping other people train. I think that's super cool. We kind of come from that similar, background of fitness training. So, tell the people what you've got going in your life right now. You're a fitness trainer, you're going to college, but you're also heading into competition with NPC, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm definitely doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, mainly working, training people in person. Tuesday, Thursdays are dedicated to only class days, just to give you kind of a rundown of my schedule. Typically from like 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 work or class. And then outside of that, whenever I do get my own workouts in, like you said, I'm competing it's a NPC national show. So if I end up placing there, I can transition to the IFBB and be a professional bodybuilder. So definitely, making sure I have my meals on me on the go. That's one of the hardest things as a bodybuilder, but really get a new appreciation for, again, adding structure to my life, being in prep versus, being in the off season, like in a bulk. If I can get up and do fasted cardio, that means I can go ahead and just knock out my homework or help a client with programming, etc.
I love that, because once you add in like the responsibility to one aspect of your life, or going 100% at one aspect, doing your best, it kind of trickles into everything else in life, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, what you're doing and with the podcast and how you're helping your clients is amazing, because fitness is it's a great microcosm for, regardless of if you're doing, the method of training or powerlifting, bodybuilding, any of the other spheres. Ultimately, we're all getting after and getting better in our own right and in our own journey. So it's really fun meeting cool people and, walking along with them.
Oh my goodness. I think that's so true. I feel like a large part of what life is about is kind of reinventing yourself, kind of like, what's a good term? Like growing in every aspect, refining, refining.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So how did you start your fitness journey, and How did you become passionate about that? Why is it so important to you?
Yeah. So I played sports growing up, so that was a big driving factor of it. And, being the youngest of four boys, that also attributes to being super competitive. So, I really like to, from playing two, three sports throughout the year, I chose to focus more so on football around, sophomore year of high school. And even in middle school that's whenever I started doing my push-ups at home and learning, how to lift with sandbags and PVC pipes and just correcting my form. And that's whenever the bug, I guess you can say, or the nerd part of me really started to say, if I can do this in a few weeks or a few months, this will happen. Okay. It's kind of the delayed gratification aspect that I found addicting as well. Um, so using fitness and, I wasn't always the tallest or the fastest, but I knew that I could be one of the strongest or, at least carry with me the disciplinary things that kind of come from training or refining your body in the gym and elsewhere.
Where did you get that mentality? Like you're talking about delayed gratification. Did you already know about delayed gratification in high school?
I have to say I had some really great coaches. The position coaches that I had and head coaches were really just great men. And, just talking about Murphy's Law and, how everything in the world is just going to come, and bite you in the butt if it can. And, seeing every challenge as adversity. That was something I heard when I was a 16, 17-year-old kid. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. But now it's like I'm reading books from Jocko Willink and learning from just three or four other personal trainers that really had a pivotal impact in my life. And like you're saying, kind of the mindset side of it. Now, as I kind of pick those pieces up, I can kind of say, oh, well, that's what David Goggins or Andy Frisella or any of the other, people that I'll leave anonymous for now, just close to my life that really had a big impact on me. So, yeah.
We're bringing up big names right now. My goodness.
Yeah.
One of the most, what would be the most, I don't know, transformative books for you be from that time? Like anyone stick out in particular?
Yeah, totally. I'd have to say Can't Hurt Me. I know it's kind of a hot topic right now for good reason, but my brother actually gifted that to me, about a year after its release. And, I chiseled away at it and then I got the audiobook. And for my first prep back in 2022, that was whenever I first, listened to it through and through and it would help me get through cardio sessions. And man, yeah, there were times that, and it's funny, you see a bodybuilder in the gym, and you think he's just all, big and tough and scared, but sometimes, big powerlifters or whoever are just as insecure as everybody else, man. So, having that place to escape and, you know, go through Can't Hurt Me and then Never Finished are probably my top one and two. Both by
Yeah.
David Goggins.
Yeah. So that prep in 2022, you were reading that book during your prep. Would you say that really helped you get into like a better mindset to be like more, basically more disciplined?
Yes. Yeah. 1,000%. And one thing that my biggest takeaway that I try and instill in especially younger athletes that I have, younger clients is, I was taught have this space in your mind, this dark hole, I guess you can call it. That's how it was portrayed to me. Where you have all your negative thoughts and, that's what you might need to tap into in the 12th rep of your set. And it was something that I used, yes, but once I read Can't Hurt Me and found out, and Never Finished and learned about the mental lab from how Goggins kind of portrayed it, it really just kind of made it to where it wasn't necessarily, it was more of a healthy self-talk and more of, okay, well, this isn't, just pain or anger. This can also be, this is fulfilling and this is how I can, really refine and say, I'm going to go about it in a strategic while also, yeah, tactical manner, regardless of the task at hand.
I love that. I think the most incredible thing about just talking to people and like yourself and getting to know people is seeing what makes up a person, where each person has led up to who they are today. What makes a person who they are. And you started your fitness journey through like sports, football, and you said correct me if I'm wrong, you started focusing more on football. Bring me from that point to now.
Yeah. So, uh, middle school, they were teaching, the high school guys would teach the middle schoolers, how to work out, which we looked up to them like idols, right? So transitioning through high school, I ended up going to, had a great amount of teammates that went to go play big ball, and I'm very happy for them, but I was happy to be with my Division III school up in Rome, Berry College, and had 3 years there. Played 2 full seasons, ended up getting concussion, knee injury, dislocating my finger, just have nerve endings down my arms, and everything that kind of came with that led me to the point where even my head coach, another amazing man, looked at me and said, "Do you think it's God's plan for you to, still play football? And do you think that this is what God is wanting, or are you forcing it, upon your life?" And throughout the entirety, of middle school, high school, college, that the fitness fundamentals are something that I always fell back on, regardless of, if I was still playing baseball or wrestling, and I even wrestled just to get better for football. So, kind of having my dreams kind of come to a halt playing college football. I knew I wasn't going to the NFL, but it was still, a really big moment and something that was pivotal for me to realize, I still offer a lot more to the world, and I can still be a vessel for God and for Christ, and it not necessarily just be through football or any other sport. I can really, and that's why I do love bodybuilding, is it's me against me. And even though there's 100 guys that were in the show that I'm going to December and last year, I can still say proudly, even if I just beat my previous package from April 1st when I qualified for nationals, that's a win for me.
You brought up so many different concepts just then. I want to touch on all of it. I guess when was like that aspect of faith introduced into your life, and like was that the moment where you're like, oh, maybe God's involved in my life, or was it before that? Was that the first time that you felt like God had a plan for your life, or was there another time?
Yeah, definitely that was, with all the injuries and failing my first set of classes ever after the concussions, that was rock bottom. And so that was really, me just saying, God, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And, figuring out who I am and my identity was good to kind of go back and reflect on being raised in the church. And, at least I went to a private school that we had Bible class every single day. So it was something that I still had a foundation, and it was almost like I was walking, you know, behind Christ in a way, but now it's like I'm walking with him after I've kind of had that moment. And, still there's daily trials and tribulations, but it's something that I know has been a constant thread and a constant theme of, guardian angel. Just there, I could have had one, extra angle of that concussion, and I could have not been walking or something. So I'm just even blessed to, I have teammates that are still in a wheelchair and fighting against that. So it's something that I, am very appreciative and, grateful for.
My goodness. That's pretty incredible. I guess my one question is like, how did your failures, what do you think it is about you and your mindset that makes your failures push you toward faith? When I see most people, failures and disappointments in life actually push them away from their faith. Maybe like they have this mindset of God failed me. Like why is that different for you?
Yeah. I think that's a really good question. I think ultimately, whenever I definitely have those thoughts of, why me, God, and, playing the victim. And then that's really whenever I hear myself, and it's like, okay, well, what are you on this earth to do? Are you here to glorify yourself, or are you here to, glorify and embody the features of Christ and of God? And I love Derek Lunsford specifically. He's an open bodybuilder that's competing in the Olympia in the next coming weeks and months. And, he's very faith based and uses that in his training. And I find myself, going into a set sometimes, just praying and being thankful. And it's something that you might not even necessarily see or think or feel, but from the outside, that's something that really drives me.
I love that. That's exactly what
Hmm.
this podcast is all about, is like, what what's the driving force behind our life?
Right.
What's the purpose? What's our mainstay purpose? So what would
Wow.
you
That's good.
say during competing? What would you say during competing is that driving force? Like, why are you doing this? Like, what is that direct drive behind every day of your training?
Yeah. And I think part of it is definitely, I talk about this all the time, especially with clients. I have a biomechanical brain, and the other side that's kind of fighting against that butting heads is the bodybuilding or, bro split kind of bro science mentality. And so, um, I really like how I can physically change my body and again, change the angle of my foot and be hitting a different angle of my legs. And just, I think that I've had conversations with peers and debates even of, is bodybuilding a sport, or is it even an art? And I think that the body itself is so complex and cohesively tied together, hormones, all of it. One thing doesn't just affect one other. It affects potentially 10 or hundreds of things. So I really like being on stage and saying, okay, wow, well, my sartorius really popped at this angle, on my leg. And there's just different ways to kind of train and again, refine myself through the training and the dieting and see what package I can bring. So total nerd about the body. And I think that it has done wonders for me in terms of mental resilience.
Gotcha. And you mentioned like struggling a little bit during training. All of us have our insecurities, our weaknesses, but like what's been your biggest struggle during your competing prep?
Yeah. Biggest struggle. I mean, it'd be kind of cliche if I talked about the diet and everything, but I'm at a phase right now where that's not even the hardest part. The hardest part is, I guess the biggest struggle is making sure that I'm picking up the mantle again, kind of for the right reasons. And, I feel a lot more motivated and I feel just more accomplished when I say, okay, well, I'm going to spend quality time. I'm going to come home early and see Sarah before she falls asleep after my long shift at work and walk with my dog Jax and, really just maybe listen to a faith-based podcast or something and, fuel my soul and my spirit rather than listen to what I typically would, expletive secular music at the gym for 30, 40 minutes and I'll have that quality time with somebody that, I really love and, helps support me. So that's just a good example or a microcosm of, that's something I just like to, again, fuel my spirit.
There's so much I want to get into there. This is great. So, real quick before I like hop into everything you just brought up, someone who wants to compete, what would you tell them? Like, what's the process?
Okay. Yeah. Process is first find a coach. Find a coach that you trust, and that you think, even if they might not know it all in the world, is not just my way or the highway. And somebody that can be versatile and kind of fluid with your lifestyle is something obviously that meshes best. And then within that as well, they can help you, or you can find it first, even a federation of bodybuilding. So should you do the National Physique Committee, or will lead into IFBB Pro, or should I do OCB or another federation that's natural and drug tested? And all of that can kind of be up for debate and personal preference. But again, much like with fitness, everybody's achieving their goals. Same with bodybuilding. And um, I think that somebody that is a beginner just should focus on maybe maintaining a heavier weight. If there's one thing I would tell my younger self, it's don't worry about, looking good for the summer or, feeling good for spring break, or don't worry about how you look in the mirror and love thyself less, maintain a healthy weight because then you can really trim down in a way. And I say healthy as in maybe a constant, I should have stayed at like 230 for a longer period of time. So then whenever I show off my 202, it looks a lot more mature from a muscle standpoint.
Shoo, yeah, you are paring down and shredding down to quite a lower weight. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
got 20 more pounds in the next 2 months, but we got this.
20 more pounds to shred.
Yes. So I'm about 224 right now. And I'll get down to my weight cap is 202 for my height for classic physique. But one of the main things too that I'll kind of harp on here while we brought it up is the last 8, 9 pounds even I've learned can be water weight. and everybody's body's going to be different. But I know that April 1st, no, March 30th, or it was right before the show, going down to Columbus, I ended up just throwing on 2 hoodies, and for the 2 hour drive, drove with the heat on. And once I got there, I quickly worked out, got my last workout in. I was depleting carbs. I weighed in at 200. After my workout, I weighed in at 191. So literally sweating for 2 hours, an hour of a workout, I lost about 9 pounds. So the water manipulation and how it's kind of such a science whenever you're at that depleted state is also what's so intriguing to me as well. So, we'll get down to probably 208 and then really deplete and have that final 48 hours of hard crushing.
Yeah. Okay. That science stuff is something I love to geek out about too. Um,
Hmm.
so I'm going to tell you something. I'm actually, thinking about competing next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone is thinking about competing, they've never competed before, what, is there anyone that you would be like, you should not compete whatsoever?
No, I think that everybody, as long as you're doing it for yourself, I think that that is the biggest part. If, and I know we talked about it previously, but you've thought about it and you've timed it up well and you want to do it for you. But if there's somebody that wants to do it maybe just for a sponsorship or for, just to get super lean or for other extrinsic things, it's not necessarily, you're not going to reap the benefit from it. And you might look good, but you'll just feel really crappy for 12 weeks and not gain much from it. Part of it is obviously the journey and the process of picking up the mantle, and every day is kind of like a new chapter. Like I'm looking at, there's 70 some odd days until December 7th for my show, so it's something that I can kind of look back on, and that's why I love making content. Just kind of uh, tying it all together and telling the story of this is how much I've grown and this is how much I've changed. So doing it for yourself, but besides that, I've seen, you and I know we have people who have one leg and they're up on the stage looking better than half the guys backstage. So anybody with any type of maybe disability as well, I love that there's people getting on stage now more than ever that maybe might not have whenever it was the golden era of bodybuilding, right? And summer shredding is great for especially the transformation division. And I love that people aren't just judged by how they're currently looking, but it's judged by this is my life. This is what I went through. And look at me. I lost all this weight. And it adds to the communal aspect.
Yeah, yeah. So for those listening who may not know what Summer Shredding is, it's created by Christian Guzman. It's like its own bodybuilding show. It's like its own category. Is that correct, Jordan?
Yes. Yeah. And so he's, uh, adding context further to that. Yeah. He actually started it like as his own vlog series. So it was, his own summer shredding, and then he'd find a show, locally and go compete at it. Now he's built it up along with all his companies to where he's trying to make it into its own federation. So then it's at the same caliber of maybe the NPC or OCB. And he actually has, I believe it was 5 to 7 shows internationally this year. So it's been growing from 1 to 2 to 7.
Yeah, so you and I are both big fans of Christian Guzman and that whole team, that whole group.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Tell me about meeting them, because you met them. How did that happen? Like you met Max, Christian Guzman.
Yes. Yeah. So I met them. First one I actually met when I went to Alpha Land was Shawley, and it was super cool. There's so many people at Alpha Land, and he was just kind of where I was walking by and ended up just throwing up a peace sign saying what's up. And he comes and daps me up, and I met his friend and I believe, uh, co-partner in business, Ant. So they were just super down to earth, and it was a good way to kind of just start that. And ended up meeting Max later on, in between some of his videos that he was shooting. I found a chance and talked to him, and it was really cool to grow up watching some of those guys and seeing the impact that they have on people and being impacted myself. And then hearing Max and Christian and all the other guys just say, "Wow, man, yeah, you're looking jacked. Like you're only this age, and yeah, you're doing great." And I'm sure everybody hears that, but that they kind of talk to, it'd be wrong for them to kind of break somebody down. But the way that they kind of just invested into me and poured into me, it's fueled me further so that, I can compete again in the summer shredding in the future.
I
Yeah,
have a great
there.
quote. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was, if someone tells you in multiple places from multiple different sources that you're good at something, listen to it because it's not luck. It's not, fate. You're really good at it. Stick with it.
Wow.
And so,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, I think that's super important. I get that because it's like your hearers are looking at you saying like, oh, you got the potential. You're really like for your age. How old are you, by the way?
23. I'll be 24 this Friday, actually.
Wow. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, that's crazy. So you just met them walking around the gym?
Yeah, and there was a time where I first saw Max, and I, you just got to realize, that they are real people, and it's something that I was like, I'm not. He has his head over the head headphones on. He's doing his cardio. I'm not trying to impede and go out of my way just to say hello. So just try to make sure that it happened kind of organically while we were both shooting in the same area, and just letting them know that throughout some of those hard times, whenever I was concussed and living in a dream, I felt like for about 3 months, didn't know, day to day what my mind was going to kind of lead me. They were a good rock, a grounding rock for me to kind of watch their videos again. So I even told Max, man, not only did you change my life in certain ways, you saved my life, and just kind of kept me going, and reminded me that fitness isn't all just about the I'm such a gym rat, and I'm such a meathead, but it doesn't just have to be about that. His lifestyle vlogs kind of showed that there's balance.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I pre-gamed for this interview with you with watching the new Max Tuning video. Um,
Mm,
I
mm,
love his stuff because I think one of the biggest things is like he's just himself. He's so unique. And
right.
he showed me in many ways, like you can be successful and still be goofy. You can be you and still be successful. You don't have to fit into this box of like, I'm big successful businesswoman, man,
Right, right.
Um, it's so cool because like you said, you do like I kind of hold them on this pedestal sometimes in my head and were they humble with you? Like were they just down to earth?
Yeah, no, super down to earth guys. And it was cool seeing Christian, especially the second time that I competed in summer shredding, and showing him the videos from last time, and just, kind of just told him, yeah, man, like this is my second one. Really excited just to show it off. And one of the biggest things that, from the rest of that group as well, as I'm kind of talking about the second summer shredding, is they're really setting themselves apart from getting like genuine great feedback from their judges. And Courtney King, soon to be Courtney Bumstead, actually was one of the
Ooh.
judges at that show. So
Oh,
she
what
was one of the. It was
King?
amazing. Yeah, she was super down to earth as well. And her and Sarah ended up chopping it up for a good bit, and
Oh my goodness.
she's so sweet. And she was telling me, just you should work on this. Maybe bring your abs from your April 1st show, and then bring your legs and your fullness from the April 15th show when we just saw you. And just really encouraging, saying, "Wow, yeah, you really impressed us." In terms of from the morning to the evening on the finals. I just brought two very different packages, she said. So it's very valuable insight as a competitor as well.
Wow, I can't believe that they're just giving that information out. Like being an actor for the past few years, if you don't get if you don't get the gig from the callback, like you just never hear back how to improve. So the fact that they're just
Right.
giving that to you is incredible. Was that the summer shredding show?
Yes. Yeah. So that was the meet and greet afterwards. And obviously got the chance to, after talking to her and the other judges, to meet Chris Bumstead himself. And he was super encouraging. And something I haven't really mentioned is in second grade, I myself had speech lessons, and a really, really bad stutter and almost a bad lisp as well. And so telling him that and saying, yeah, I had speech classes, like, so you just really have hit home with me, and your mentality, just resilience, is really life changing. And he just responded with, well, they obviously were better for you than it did for me. So it was good to, kind of break the ice, and he was beyond down to earth as well.
That is so sick. Chris just seems like the most humble competitor out there.
Yeah, yeah, and I love how as humble as he is, and I say this every single outro of my YouTube video. Stay humble, but stay dangerous, and that's something that my mom instilled in me and told me when I first went down this bodybuilding journey, and he embodies that to a T. He's very humble and doesn't really talk about himself, but when it's time to flip that switch and work, yeah, he's dangerous.
Oh, for sure. He's when is Olympia? It's like a few weeks from now, like 6 weeks out.
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if the dates have moved since 2022. Yeah, so it's November 2nd through the 5th, Thursday through Sunday this year.
Okay. And
So, yeah.
a lot of things to touch on there. So first of all, like you're on YouTube. You haven't been on there for a while. So I've been doing it for over 10 years. It's super hard to get anywhere on the platform. I was a partner I became a monetized partner with YouTube in 2013, I think. But I
Okay,
was looking
yeah.
at your numbers and you just have, you are so in your niche with fitness. I think you're really going to blow up soon, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. And it's honestly, I had 30 subscribers before one of my shows, and then around the time of that show, I uploaded a video. Uh, it's kind of like a max tuning kind of fanboy video. Funny enough, I can see if I can find you that link. And 3 months go by, nothing happens. Then it gets 1 million views, and I gain 1,000 subscribers overnight. So that was a cool experience just to kind of witness.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think I actually found your channel through that short before I even like looked you up on YouTube after
Yeah,
you do YouTube. I think that's so funny because I was like, man, YouTube algorithm really knows who I know for some reason. And I was like, wait a second. No, this video is actually popping off right now. So, congrats on that. That's huge.
thank you. Yeah, and I mean TikTok has also been something that, and it's something that numbers, 8,000. I've been stuck at 8,000 subscribers on TikTok, and it's like, when am I going to get to 10? But why can't I just be grateful and, happy with the 8,000 I do have? And, that the people that are responding and commenting and liking are going to stick with me a lot longer than, they're going to be along the ride compared to maybe the numerous followers that are going to come. So I think it's the same with YouTube. I'd rather have good retention, and I'm at the point where, although my quality hasn't been maxed out from previous videos, I'm so limited on time. I want to just upload. And so even if it's more so raw, less edited, less music in the background, just talking to the people and still trying to teach people and anybody that wants to listen.
Yeah, it's always, if it's got good quality content, but it's not necessarily quality like video, it still is very valuable. And like, don't do what I
Hmm.
did and just be like, oh, I can't make quality, so stop, you just stop. That was the worst mistake I ever made when it came to YouTube. I just totally stopped. I was like, no, now it's been too long. I'm just going to quit. Yeah, you always just want to make content. So I think you're right on the money. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing
Oh
great.
yeah, I appreciate it. More work to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, so let's talk about this real quick before we move on to other aspects of your life. Because I know we've talked about competing almost like the entire interview. Um, we'll move on from this, but um, so I met up with you at the gym. You're pretty open about your training. You said that you're doing your training at the perimeter location, but you're also hopping to other gyms. Like, as someone who's in college full time and also competing and also working, how do you juggle it all? Because it just seems like there's so much to do. And what would you say to people who want to take on as much responsibilities as you have and being in a full time um committed relationship?
Yeah, yeah. I think that having all those things in the relationship definitely helps. Sarah's an amazing support to where she knows I get stressed, and she knows more than anybody that I have a lot on my plate and almost to where I overcommit. But it's it's a lot about prioritizing and understanding what are you capable of taking on. And there was a point in one of the realms of my life, specifically, at One Life, where I could have kind of stepped up and taken on more tasks, but it would have been at the detriment of other parts of my life, and especially even school. I don't think that I could have really offered too much more, and so that's when I made the transition and said I'm gonna really focus on just the personal training side of it. So my advice would mainly be, if you feel like you want to take on more responsibility in any area of your life, make sure that you can really, again, kind of just divide and conquer and divide your day up to where, yeah, there's definitely times where I'd rather just grab Chick-fil-A on the way into work, but I'm making meals and cooking chicken breast and beef at 6 a.m., and making sweet potato, going back to bed, and then waking up when it's time to leave for class. So and it's not like that every single day, but just definitely going through and saying, okay, well, what's my task? What's my run sheet? Something also that kind of helped for day-to-day tasks.
Yeah, run sheets, super important, especially if
Hmm.
I would say as fitness trainers, we're kind of entrepreneurs because we have to make our own schedule and make it work and do all the things for each individual
Oh
client that
yeah.
we need to do. So run sheets, 100%.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I
so
think that, not to cut you off, but you said something that was really good there too. Just that's a big part of my life. Is my dad was an entrepreneur from, even before I was born. And so
wow.
just watching him get up at 5 a.m. and, go, even if one of his guys kind of called out, and go mow a lawn himself, man, and, just say, I got to go do this to feed my family. Really, I'm very entrepreneurial minded. So that's why I want to, own my own business one day, and maybe have my own gym. Obviously, with the YouTube's kind of, I'm throwing myself out there as my own brand as is. So that's a big part of my life, is entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask you next is you look up to Chris Bumstead, all these entrepreneurial people. What one thing that you really want to, one point that you really want to get to in life? What's your goal?
Yeah. I want to mainly get to the point to where, I can give back. And I was looking earlier at some of Max's uh, most popular videos, and one of them is him giving his sister a car, and just being able to be at that point and give back to the people who, there were times my parents said, yeah, well, you could get a job, but if you're going to pursue college football, let's actually just, go to a personal trainer. And those are complete opposites, right? So it's having someone that says, okay, yeah, well, I'm willing to invest in your dreams. I want to be able to give back to them, and have a stable life to bring some children into one day. Cause, the main thing is this generation needs a lot of leaders, and it needs a lot of people that, myself included, and we need to change and evolve each day. But I think that, ultimately, yeah, I want to have my own fitness facility, like a wellness spot, and to where we can educate people on, the biomechanics of your body, and maybe some different modalities for rehab, even if it's not specifically physical therapy. That's definitely a realm that I've always been a nerd about, and want to offer solutions.
That's amazing. You just want to give back. I love that. That's one of my goals too, just to get to that point. It'll be like the clouds coming, the sun coming through the clouds. That'll be the moment.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly.
Now I want to get into a topic I'm a little scared of, so just bear with
Okay.
me, but you're the one who's more knowledgeable about this.
I'm an open book.
All right. So gear, are you natural? How healthy is that? What do people do about it? Cause I had, you know this person. I don't want to start any beef now, but
Right.
Selena, and you know how she is about, any not being natural. She's in competitions where they get drug tested, and she said that it's not healthy to compete. Now, where's the health? What's healthy basically? Are you natural? Are you not? And what does that mean for your health?
Yeah. So I am not natural, and I very proudly and openly I'm very transparent about that, because I never want to sell a false image of fitness, excuse me. And I never push that on anybody, especially clients, members. If they ask about it, I'll be open about my dosage and stuff. And it's, I'm not at a heroic dose, and there's something called cruising versus blasting in terms of Am I at a moderate dose close to HRT, about 250, milligrams per deciliter a week? Or am I blasting where it's close to 1,000 milligrams or a gram of testosterone? So I am only on testosterone right now and an aromatase inhibitor, which mitigates testosterone from aromatizing over to estrogen. So there's side effects that will come from that. Mainly the health aspect for me, I had also, I'm only on my first true cycle of testosterone. So before then, I had taken one or two performance enhancing, a SARM, one called Cardarine, which is a PPAR delta agonist, which actually used to be sold over the counter like creatine. And the Beijing Olympics, plenty of athletes actually were popped for that. So it's something that I've always been a big nerd on supplements and pharmacology, but I think that, like you were mentioning, no beef has started at all because Selena and I talk about this every so often. Is it's your personal prerogative, and it's definitely not healthy to put many compounds in your body, especially at once, and just kind of say, oh, well, I'm just going to go eat whatever and train every so often. If I can use this as a tool instead of as a crutch, then that's whenever I'm actually going to have developed muscle that doesn't look synthetic. And it's not, it's not something that, again, I'll be open with making sure that you have your blood work done and every 3 to 6 months, just making sure, do I need to give blood? Is my hemoglobin or my hematocrit too high? My ALT, my AST. So it's something that, again, as a tool, not a crutch, but to Selena's own right, her natural federation, she's a professional herself. But the IFBB is very competitive with people taking Trenbolone and D-ball and Deca and Anavar and Winstrol with the testosterone base, all just to get a pro card. So, I'm taking a little bit less than most, but I'm definitely still enhanced. And I do think one of the main things that my mindset that kind of just left me open to it is, as far as the health, there's going to be, and again, bringing this side up kind of scares me because it might get political and to some people that they're changing the standards. And if you can tell me that 100 years ago, a man would functionally work off of 200 to 400, kind of just nanograms or whatever in the body of testosterone, then that's not very accurate. And so the fact that they're bringing it each year and year just lower and lower, and oh yeah, well now it's normal or it's optimal, and just doctors that aren't willing to kind of prescribe some of it in America, whenever other countries you can just buy it kind of at CVS or at the pharmacy, right? So it's something that's subjective in that kind of part in terms of your belief. I think that testosterone itself can be a lot more natural to somebody who actually needs it in a therapeutic sense than obviously having other vices. And if this is my one vice, if this is the one thing that I use to kind of fuel my bodybuilding career and like overall just kind of feel better and have better energy levels, then I'll take it.
Yeah. So, there's several things I want to touch on. The only thing I really know is that some are illegal, some aren't, and that, in general, men's testosterone has been lowering globally each year, and they're trying to figure out why. So I kind of get what you're saying when it comes to like, it's a preference thing, but also like it's lowering, and some doctors aren't prescribing it. So it's like a matter of like some people's morals versus like what's going on globally.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess maybe if you could just touch on like the possible side effects, and maybe, like, since that is what you're using to compete, what you think about like, the competing sides of things, like, are you going to do this off season or not? So like, what are the side effects, and, are you going to use this like just during competitions, or like how does it work?
Yeah. And luckily, I actually took a class over the summer and we had a whole unit and a whole test on hypertrophy and the pathways within that, but then also anabolics and how those kind of tie together and why they work so well. So there's good and bad, obviously. The pathways just kind of, they open the floodgates in certain scenarios. But like we talked about earlier, just one hormone doesn't just affect one thing. So understanding that if I don't take an aromatase inhibitor, I could get enlarged kind of nipples at the breasts and get gynecomastia, or I can have hypertrophy of my heart, which can obviously have other failures or other complications. And then my kidneys, my liver, that's why doing your blood work and having somebody and a doctor that you trust is so essential. Because if you don't feel open about telling somebody this, and then like you come from your off season, from your in season, excuse me, into your off season, and your blood work completely changes, and then they're not really going to know what to do with that. So I do plan on coming off, and it's not something that I'm going to be doing, especially at a high dose for year round. But uh, it's something that if there's somebody that's debating it, specifically a male, I know that there's female side effects in terms of clitoral enlargement, hair growing in new places that we might not want it, voices deepening, our jaw lines can get more protruded as females. Men, there's testicular atrophy. There's a whole slew of different things that can kind of go wrong, but that is also in turn, it can kind of be indicative of, am I adhering to a proper protocol? So am I actually making sure that I'm doing my aromatase inhibitor every other day, or am I missing it by 3-4 days? Am I uh, doing the dose that my coach says, or am I doing a lot more and then ordering more on the side? So then I can really impress him and really feel good. Because one of the things that I learned in my mindset from the SARMs especially was, I'm not just going to take it at the highest dose for 8-10 weeks straight and then just come clean off it. I'm going to introduce it at a low dose, kind of peak as that curve kind of comes to a point where I'm starting to see progress. Even though I might not want to, I'm going to have to lower the dose again as I put in a post-cycle therapy. So post-cycle, or PCT, is the best way, and it's kind of the only way to kind of switch back from your body saying that there's an extrinsic testosterone supplementation. Now it's going back to my endogenous production.
Okay, so your normal natural production.
Yes.
Gotcha. That's super
Yeah.
interesting.
So tons of side effects, tons of things that can go wrong. But
Yeah.
once I kind of weighed that out and said, as long as the side effects, which I haven't had too many, obviously acne is something, and I've realized like, oh gosh, yeah, I'm definitely like warmer just throughout the day. My body temperature has gone up. But again, it's not only just about how big are my biceps, but how healthy is my brain? How healthy are my kidneys? Is my liver, especially your liver, from especially oral steroids oral PEDs can take a huge toll, and that actually has a lot of implications on other organs and systems in your body.
So you're not taking oral.
I will be adding an oral in soon as a hardening agent, but it's not something that, it's not a strong one. It's one that women take. It's called Anavar. And there are some that women can and can't take, as you might be able to imagine with hormones. But one of the things is, uh, the coach that helps me a lot with some of this stuff is very big on, it's a lifestyle kind of decision, and you need to make sure that you're getting your vitamin D, your sunlight in the morning, and you're getting your quality sleep. You're waking up and having apple cider vinegar, water, lemon juice, and pink Himalayan salt. So then as prep ensues and we manipulate water and we take the pink Himalayan salt, my aldosterone levels are at a baseline. So then my kidneys aren't in complete shock in an unhealthy way. And some of the main side effects and complications that can come up is the 24 hours of kind of the show period. Sometimes people will take, and I've taken a diuretic before, just something that will excrete, more liquid throughout your body just to look a lot more dry and leaner. And as you do that from manipulating carbs, water, you've been dieting for 16 weeks, you feel like a zombie. That's when your organs can really be at risk as well. So that's something that, especially if someone who's deciding it or thinking about it, it's not all green grass and rainbows and big muscles. It's other things that you really need to make sure that you're adhering to protocol.
as someone who's heard about a lot of people losing their lives to just, doing things incorrectly and not maybe not even going through a doctor for some of these things, like, it's super scary to hear about all the health complications. I'm glad that you're doing it the right way and such. Is competing in itself, going to these extreme lengths, healthy?
Yeah, I think that it can be as long as, again, you're doing it for the right reasons. So on my body, not necessarily. And I always talk about, especially with someone who might be new to the gym or new to fitness, I am on the absolute extreme end of the spectrum. There's nothing more unhealthy that you might see or an unhealthy state than the behind the scenes of a bodybuilding show. Cause you have people that, again, dieted, manipulated water, took a diuretic. They might be on gear. They might not, but then they're sipping red wine in the back at 9 a.m. because it dries you out, or taking a shot of tequila at 5, and then they have to get someone to drive them in, right? So it's just it's a weird kind of mix and dichotomy, but it doesn't have to just be that way. Yeah.
I like that. So Sarah, your lady, how does she
hmm
feel about all of this toll that you're taking for your sport?
Yeah. Uh,
Hi, so quick disclaimer. We are working on getting a second mic so I can have them with me here in person instead of remote. If you want to support us in that endeavor, we have a Patreon. Mainstay on Patreon. Thank you for watching. Now back to our interview with Jordan Roman.
actually is, not necessarily 100% open with, you know, especially once we first brought up the enhancement part and the testosterone. She's after some conversations and, private talks, it's something that's like, okay, well, we definitely just want to be able to have kids in the future. But, she said, if this is your dream and you're wanting to follow it, then she'll support me with it. And she's been nothing but patient and, grateful throughout all of this. And she's seen me at my most irritable, tired, depleted state, without anything that's, a performance enhancing drug per se, and or a lot of testosterone especially. And so I think that certain compounds, especially like trin and other harsh ones, really, from what people say, but in general, tests will just kind of enhance your current personality. So if you're already a pissed off, angry guy that is ready to snap at an instant, I might be like that whenever someone cuts me off, but then I think, oh gosh, yeah, Jesus, yeah, sorry, yeah, I pray that person gets there safe. If somebody doesn't have that kind of subconscious thought, they're just going to get out of the car with a bat. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, it just enhances who you already kind of are in my mind. So she's helped me a lot with just maintaining, okay, well, is this what you want to do? And, she going into medical school, also has a lot of expertise in terms of, okay, well, this is how you might need to read your chart. And this is, you need to go give blood. You need to do this or that. And so she's helped me a lot throughout the process of just doing it healthy in the smart way.
That's awesome. How did you two meet, by the way? You guys been
Yeah.
dating for
So,
like 2 years? Has it been 2?
yeah. 2 years, actually October 16th. So,
Woo!
we met through some mutual friends. She actually roomed with somebody that went to high school with my brother. So, it was kind of just social media. We ended up connecting, and then first day that, we kind of hung out, we just kind of realized, oh yeah, like we're almost the same person. And everybody says that, right? But just down to the sense of humor, just the way that we connect, the things that, we're both the youngest siblings. And so we kind of, we balance each other out in certain ways in terms of, she might be better at just giving the diagnosis of a medical kind of term or diagnosis, but I can almost add fluff to a paragraph and, kind of just talk about, the complexity of the body and anatomy. So we nerd out about that stuff a lot. And she's a real saving grace.
That's so awesome. So you guys just met up, you guys talked, and it's been smooth sailing ever since.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's definitely times where, and we've lived together, this November, I believe will be, coming up, or December will be coming up on a year. And so she's already graduated, and even though we might be both the youngest, there's definitely times where she's more mature than me and vice versa. But, again, we're a really, really good team, and just having Jax, our little dog for a while has kind of shown like, okay, yeah, like I'm going to have to get up and take him out at night just to not to sound, misogynistic or anything, but well, I'm going to be the man. Well, I don't want her going out there and it being dark and her being feeling threatened or anything. So I'm just going to get up and do it, even though I'm tired and I just did cardio and trained people for hours. So it's something that if she's willing to help me throughout my prep and be patient, I'm willing to do the same back.
Yeah, yeah. I heard another good quote. It's not about each person given 50-50. It's about each person given 100%. And some days, one of y'all has like 30%, the other person gives 70, but it's all, no matter what, it's always about giving your partner 100% of what you got left. Just giving the other
Wow,
person
yeah,
your best.
that's great. You must have talked to my mom or saw the same quote from my mom, because she tells us that all the time. I love that. Thank you, Brooke.
Your
I
mom
love
sounds
that.
like a smart lady.
Yeah, that's true. She's smart and strong for raising four boys.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, she just had 4 boys, no girls at all.
Yeah, no girls, and me being the youngest, she definitely loved me, and I was a big mama's boy growing up. But uh, just watching her and my dad be a really big partnership and choose to love each other each day, and God's a big foundational part of their life. They've really walked it out in a lot of ways, and nobody's perfect, but the life that they built for me and for my brothers, and now they have their first granddaughter, so there's finally a girl in our immediate family.
Wow. How does it feel having a niece?
Amazing. I just saw her just the other day, and definitely I love her to pieces. A little bit of baby fever, right? But it's like, okay, there will be a time and place for that. And I just got her some clothes from Target, man. So it's like wanting to just raise her, and always feel like she's well, safe and protected in a house of boys, but also she can just come up into her own person and her own being.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I got a niece too, with the first baby of the family, of
Oh,
that generation, and it's crazy because it's like, what? My sibling has a little child. What's going on?
right.
Um, I'm not personally getting that baby fever feeling, but I guess it's different because like I'm in a long distance relationship and you and Sarah are like, you guys are living together. You guys already have a dog together. So y'all are like in that stage already. So you guys are well ahead of, me and my boyfriend. Um,
Yeah, in certain regards, and like she was with me at Target, picking out like, oh yeah, like this would be so cute on her or whatever. But then we both look at each other and it's like, you still got to go through medical school, girl. So there will be a time and a place.
yeah, yeah. It's so funny because we were joking about that the other day. It's like, um, well, we could just skip ahead, but like, we got stuff we gotta do. We got a lot of stuff we gotta do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right, right. Well, that's awesome, and I'm sure you and your boyfriend hear it a lot. But thank you so much for his service, and for your patience and sacrifice as well. That's amazing, because would not be able to do what we do fitness wise or lifestyle wise if it weren't for those protecting us.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'll relay that message for sure. Uh,
Yes, please do.
yeah, hopefully he'll be coming back soon. So that'll be good.
That's
Um,
great.
I guess I just wanted to end on like, if anyone was looking for hope, cause you sound like a pretty joyful guy, in terms of like you have something that drives you every day. It's not like there might be hard days where it's hard to get out of bed, but like you're still moving. It's not like you've given up hope. If you've ever had one of those moments in the past though, where you're feeling hopeless, what's something that's got you through it? Like what has been that mainstay anchor to keep going?
Yeah. I'll say 2 points, and one of the first will be I was given a prophecy when I was young, just in middle school church, high school church, that I've been given the keys, and if I can go ahead and get in the car and enjoy the journey, that's something I should go ahead and embrace and do. And for me at the time, it was football. And that was me trying to decide who do I want to be? What do I want to do? So that enabled me, but that still sticks with me as a prophecy that I've been given the keys to do the things leading to the second part of my answer of, reading in David Goggins, his book, he kind of finishes it up with this, that if I can get to the end of my life and, willfully saying that professional bodybuilder, motivational person, influenced others, biomechanical nerd, bachelor's in kinesiology, has a great family and support system I love around him. And I look up and I say, nah, man, this ain't Jordan Roman. And he tells me this is who you were supposed to be. That's my mindset and example for, something that's like, I still have hope, and it's not too late. I can still turn my life around, even if I feel like I'm at rock bottom, or, like I don't have everything going on for me. When it comes to fitness and life, we might look at some people and think, oh, this guy or this girl has a Greek god or goddess physique and they got it all together and they're sponsored and they're getting paychecks, but you don't know what they're going through and you don't know what they've had to already overcome. So it's something that I'm willing to take up the challenge and see everything comes my way as adversity and just a reason to get better and to overcome it.
Love it. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your day. Where can people find you?
Yes. Yeah. You can find me at Jordan.Roman, Jordan_Roman, on YouTube, Instagram, Jordan Roman _, and then, email for inquiries for online coaching, other things at jromanfitness@gmail.com. And then don't forget, shop Evogen Nutrition, code JRO to save some money at checkout. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. I love Mainstay and the idea of the podcast. It's been a pleasure being here.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Jordan.
And like I always say, stay humble, but stay dangerous.